What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz, and we are here for a special video, special talk. We'll have a talking session here of the first year of All Elite Wrestling. Going back to middle of 2018, Dave Meltzer puts out, and someone asked Dave Meltzer if Ring of Honor could ever sell out a 10,000 seat arena. Dave said no. No, that couldn't happen. Ring of Honor is not there right now. Cody Rhodes got wind of this and said, boom, give us about a couple months and we're going to take that bet. Now, from there, we got All In, and from there, on January 1st at midnight Pacific time, which was 12, which would have been 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the morning, I was at my girlfriend at the time's house. I was spending the night there, so I'm, celebrating New Year's with her. And I was in a dead zone. I couldn't know any of this stuff. And then I get home on January 1st in the morning, about 10 o'clock. I look on my Twitter account on Twitter, and bam, All Elite Wrestling was announced. Double or Nothing. The very first pay-per-view for this company has been named. We were like, boom. We knew this was going to be a crazy year for the world of professional wrestling. From WWE sucking up as much indie talent as they could, locking up talent for 5 years, Dean Ambrose saying, giving Vince McMahon the bird and leaving WWE when his contract was up, burying the entire company, Vince McMahon and the creative, and just so much this year. Chris Jericho being one of the major players in AEW. Jim Ross leaving WWE after another 2-year stint after his wife was killed in a car accident 2 years ago. To Tony Schiavone for the first time in almost 20 years on TNT for wrestling as a commentator. Just so much happened this year, and AEW was a driving force behind a lot of it. Was this a perfect season? Was this a perfect first year? Not by any means. You're never going to have a perfect. Nobody's going to bat 1,000. Nobody's going to have that perfect record from the start to finish of a year. Was it a positive? Yes. Did they end their final show on a negative? Most definitely. But this will go down. 2019 will go down as the biggest year in professional wrestling since Vince McMahon bought WCW in 2001. Even though TNA and Impact Wrestling tried as hard as they could to be a viable option and make a buzz for the professional wrestling world, they could never get, ratings-wise between TNT and Spike TV when Impact was on there, yes, the ratings were high when they were on there because it was a different time for professional wrestling. Now it is not. It is totally different. 10 years ago, the decade, and this is crazy because we're coming up to the end of a decade. At the beginning of this decade, Impact Wrestling was still TNA. Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan just joined that company at the beginning of the decade. Jeff Hardy made his return to TNA. Ric Flair joined TNA. They had Immortal started. They had they had pretty good ratings for that company. Was it anything WWE-esque? No. Was it better than what AEW and NXT get on a weekly basis? By far. But just look at the wrestling business back 10 years ago in the beginning of 2010 and where we are now. TNA looked like it was on its way out in 2017, 16. We had people calling for the bankruptcy because Dixie Carter drove them into the ground. Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff had a thing to do with that, as well as Vince Russo. And then things turned around. Yes, a lot of things that happened in the last year are... It's pretty much this year is a domino effect of everything that happened from TNA falling on its face to Colt Cabana becoming a major indie legend, doing everything he can to show you that WWE is not the only option. You can make money on the indies. The Young Bucks picking up on that, making the Bullet Club not just a big sensation in New Japan, a worldwide sensation. I was working in a gas station about 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago, I should say. And I'm sitting there, it's a night shift, I work night shifts, I prefer nights, and a couple walks in wearing Bullet Club shirts, Bullet Club hats, having the Bullet Club towel. I think one had a Muddy Skull, might have had a Muddy Skull umbrella. Because they just came from a Ring of Honor show that had Adam Cole, like actually it was before Muddy Skull. It was like, I think Adam Cole was still part of the Bullet Club, but you had the Bullet Club there, and that was all harkens back to what Colt Cabana did in this industry. Another domino of this entire thing of AEW was the Cody Rhodes release from WWE. Cody Rhodes, if he does not leave WWE, this AEW doesn't exist in this form. Maybe AEW might have happened, maybe not, but I just don't think that we would be where we are today with AEW if Cody Rhodes was like, you know what, I'm happy with what I'm doing, I'm dressing up a Stardust, I'm making a good living here, it's just going to be how it is. Maybe one of these days Vince McMahon will get tired of Stardust and he'll let me be myself. No, Cody's like, you know what, fuck this character, I know I'm better than this, I can prove it out on the indies, and boom, he did. And it's just culminated to where, and New Japan plays a part in this too, so does Ring of Honor. New Japan, like at the end of last year, Matt and Nick Jackson's contracts were coming up in New Japan. They have come out and said that they would have stayed in New Japan had New Japan offered them, had New Japan shown that they actually they see value in the Young Bucks. New Japan did not do that. People keep going out there and it's like, oh, New Japan and New Japan and AEW is going to eventually work together. Now, yes, for us as fans, we see that this would be a financial benefit for both parties. But people need to look at the fact that the Young Bucks don't see value in it because New Japan didn't see any value in them. But I'm getting off topic here, for sure. This has been crazy for this year. All from that one bet. But the one bet that happened between Dave Meltzer and Cody Rhodes wasn't really the start of this, as this all goes back to, yes, Colt Cabana, who was in WWE for a hot minute, goes back on the independent machine, starts a podcast that he just I think wrapped up at the end of this year. Goes out there, starts selling his own merch, making his name mean something. Colt Cabana was just on the final taped edition of Dark for the year as a commentator right beside Excalibur for the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match they had, the Janela Claus versus Shawn Spears match, and I can't remember what the other match was. But just the fact that just makes you feel like it's come full circle, that this guy, Colt Cabana, honestly, Colt Cabana, AEW owes a lot to a Colt Cabana, and I'm pretty sure Matt, Nick, Cody, and everyone else in AEW would agree with that. But with him doing what he did, Cody leaving WWE, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, even AJ Styles. AJ Styles has an intricate part in the entire antithesis of AEW, because if he doesn't go to Japan, if he doesn't help make Bullet Club cool because of how good he is in the ring, before AJ Styles joined Bullet Club was just a heel faction it was just another run-of-the-mill heel faction that was a bunch of gaijins coming in, running roughshod all over New Japan. AJ Styles comes in, and they make the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club starts to become cool. AJ Styles is sent out to go to WWE. The Elite is born, with Kenny Omega coming in and usurping AJ Styles as the leader of the Bullet Club. And then, of course, Cody comes in. All these other guys come in. Hangman Page. You had Muddy Skull for a hot minute. You had Adam Cole for a minute. It just so much led to the bet. Of course, as we know, Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, who were the top stars signed the Ring of Honor and good friends both inside and outside of professional wrestling as part of the group Bullet Club, They promoted and held the independent professional wrestling event called All In on September 1st, 2018, featuring wrestlers from Ring of Honor, as well as Impact Wrestling and other promotions, featuring sold out in 30 minutes and had the largest audience in attendance for a professional wrestling show in America, held by and organized by promoters not affiliated with WWE or World Championship Wrestling. The event was attended by 11,263 people. The event was acclaimed and has led to much online speculation that Cody and the Bucks would expand their ambitions and create their own professional wrestling promotion. Now, when the show was over, as you remember, if you watched the show, there was video that went up online where Cody and the Young Bucks gave you the speech that they did. Cody was like, if we go anywhere, would you come with us? That if we're going to do this, we're going to go double or nothing. Because if you do a bet and you want to try and up the ante, you don't just say, well, I'll take another bet with you. No, we're going to make this double or nothing. That's where that came from. Which a lot of people speculated that it was going to be all in too. They were going to make this yes, the wrestling promotion thing came later down the line. Immediately after this show was done, like the weeks coming after it, I saw people talking about maybe they're going to do an All In 2 next year. Maybe it's going to be a yearly thing. We'll have All In 1, All In 2, All In 3, All In 4, so on and so forth. And then, of course, then things started. Several trademarks in 2015, November 5th of 2018, were filed in Jacksonville, Florida that indicated the launch of All Elite Wrestling. Names filed and trademarks included All Elite Wrestling, AEW All Out, AEW, Double or Nothing, Tuesday Night Dynamite, still Dynamite's a terrible show name, just saying, AEW Double or Nothing, and several logos. In December of 2018, the Bucks, Cody, and several other wrestlers left Ring of Honor and New Japan. The official announcement of the creation of AEW came at midnight Pacific time on January 1st, 2019, in an episode of Being the Elite. Again, I was blind to this until I came home, turned on my Twitter account, and it was everywhere. This blew up Twitter. I think Twitter broke when it first went off. I, of course, didn't have to worry about that because, again, I didn't see this until 7 hours later. Let's see. Also announced in the episode was Double or Nothing. If I can remember, it was all Cody, the Bucks, and Hangman Page all had their phones. They looked at Cody, the Bucks, and were just going crazy because Cody's like, we're going Double or Nothing. We're going Double or Nothing. And then you see that, and then Hangman Page says, my phone is different, has his phone, and then flips it over, and it says AEW. Doesn't say All Elite Wrestling, it just says AEW. And thus, it was announced. And then, later in January, they had the Double or Nothing, the Double or Nothing rally, which Kenny Omega was still contracted to New Japan until the end of, I think, beginning of February or the end of January. So yes, Kenny Omega, of course, lost the IWGP Heavyweight Championship to Hiroshi Tanahashi at the Tokyo Dome. And here's another thing this is another reason why AEW is not going to work with New Japan. When Gaijins leave New Japan and New Japan feels that they had the respect of those guys, the day after New Year's Dash, AJ Styles got beat down and destroyed on New Year's Dash, and that was his final time he's seen. Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and I believe Kenny Omega too, were taken off of New Year's Dash. They were not allowed to say goodbye to the fans at New Year's Dash. So that, of course, would mean that they got slighted, and why would you want to work with somebody who does something like that? Anyway, when we go to the ticket rally was in February, which was when they were going to put the sale, because at the first press conference, we found out about Sonny Kiss. We found out about Pac. We found out that they're going to be at the MGM Grand. They're going to be at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas on May 25th. We found out Chris Jericho was going to be a part of AEW. And that right there, as soon as Chris Jericho came out and said, I am all in with All Elite Wrestling, you knew this company meant business. this company, yes, Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and Hangman Page coming out, bringing a few people out that people don't know. Sammy Guevara, I believe, was in that first press conference. Kip Sabian, I think, maybe too. I could be wrong. But it's just, you didn't have anybody that would make this thing feel legitimate until Chris Jericho made his presence known. When Chris Jericho came out and said, I am all in with All Elite Wrestling, boom. You had a lot more credibility than you did before he came out. Then we get to the ticket party a couple weeks later. And then what happens? What happens? We have the Lucha Bros make their debut with this company, attacking the Young Bucks, laying out, I believe it was Matt Jackson, could be wrong, maybe Nick, one of the two, setting up for their tag team match that would happen at Double or Nothing. You had Kenny Omega officially announced. That led to a brawl between him and Chris Jericho leading up to Double or Nothing. Longtime wrestling fan Tony Khan announced that the president of the company, Tony and his father Shahid, were reportedly backing the promotion. Khans are billionaires in the ownership of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cody's wife Brandy, and that was announced as the company's chief brand officer on January 3rd. January 8th, the company held its inaugural press conference at the forecourt at the TIA Bank Field, where they announced talent that were going to perform as part of the promotion, including former Ring of Honor team of SCU, Christopher Daniel, Scorpio Sky, and Frankie Kazarian, Hangman Page, Britt Baker, Joey Janela. Penelope Ford was also with Joey Janela at the time, but she is no longer with him. Pac, who also interrupted Page and made it sound like that was going to be where we're heading towards for the title, the World Heavyweight Championship, which, when everything's said and done with this first year, I would say that was probably a good thing they didn't go that way. And, of course, Chris Jericho. I also forgot, they also announced a working relationship with Chinese professional wrestling promotion Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, OWE. Then we go to February 7th, which is the press conference for the ticket party they had outside the MGM. Other announcements include Kenny Omega joining as a competitor and the company's fourth co-executive vice president, which is a dumb idea. I don't think you should have four guys who were in the ring being executive vice presidents. Ray Phoenix, Pentagon Jr., The Best Friends, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, and Mexican promotion AAA, Lucha Libre, AAA, which that's where Sammy Guevara was at. So that was where we were at. Nothing. They started a Road to series after a couple weeks. I believe it was a couple weeks after the February ticket sales. Of course, the tickets sold out pretty well, even though they made the mistake of having the tickets go on sale and having some kind of wait in line thing. It kind of, all I know is like when they had the tickets go on sale, they had so many people wanted to go that they broke the ticket website. But eventually, yes, they sold out All Elite Wrestling first show, Double or Nothing. They had their Road to series. That's where we found out JR was going to be on commentary for this thing. That's where I believe we found out Alex Marvez, which turned out to be a bad idea for commentary because he wasn't ready for that. You had the tension, which if you look back on it now, at their third pay-per-view, which is Full Gear, which we'll get to later, you had Chris Jericho versus Cody Rhodes for the world title. Now that, and this is what you get for long-term storytelling if you actually pay attention. That build started right after they sold out AEW's first show, Double or Nothing, because Chris Jericho said that it was all him. It was all him. AEW sold out. AEW was going to exist and thrive because of Chris Jericho. Cody, of course, in one of these Road to Double or Nothing, which I love the Road to series. It was absolutely fantastic. It's like they really can't do it as much anymore because they do have television. But the Road to series, as they were doing it, it was just so much good stuff. So, of course, Cody was watching this, and he's like, you can just see the look on his face that he wants to punch this guy in the face. May 8th, 2019. Nothing else really much happened other than signing a couple talents here and there. AEW reached a media rights deal with British media company ITV PLC to broadcast AEW shows on ITV4, with pay-per-views being broadcast on ITV Box Office starting with Double or Nothing on May 25th. On May 15th, AEW and Warner Media announced a deal for a weekly primetime show airing live on TNT beginning October 2nd. The network that formerly broadcast Monday Nitro during the Monday Night Wars from 1995 to 2001. Additionally, AEW will be available on pay-per-view and stream on BR Live in the United States and Canada, and on Fight TV internationally. CBS Sports describes AEW as the first company with major financial backing to take a swing after beginning to compete with WWE on a major level for nearly 2 decades. Now, while they're getting ready for Double or Nothing, over in Connecticut, over in the WWE, a certain lunatic fringe is running out his contract. He's had enough of this company. He's had enough of the bullshit. He's had enough of the crap that they keep spewing to him. All the crap that he had to go through. They had the Shield's final match on pay-per-view at Fastlane. Then we go to WrestleMania. He doesn't have a match at WrestleMania because why would you want to put somebody who's on his way out in a match at WrestleMania? So they go to the Shield's Last Dance. They have that match there. It's the 3-man blend versus the Shield. He gives you a heartfelt speech of the Shield and everything, and that was the end of him. The day his contract runs out, as soon as it hits midnight, Jon Moxley is reborn. Jonathan Good, Dean Ambrose, WWE, back when Twitter blew up and Twitter started becoming a big thing, mandated, I believe, that everybody in WWE has to have a Twitter. Dean Ambrose had this Twitter. Dean Ambrose almost never used this Twitter. I don't think we've ever seen Dean Ambrose tweet on this Twitter until this happened. But it didn't say at Dean Ambrose, it said at Jon Moxley. People are going completely crazy because if you follow anybody on Twitter, if you go to someone else's Twitter page and they follow that, and that person follows the Twitter page that you're on, they'll show in the left side of it that this person's following people that you follow this. And in this list of followers that follow Dean Ambrose or Jon Moxley was a bunch of WWE personnel things. People are like, oh my god, this proves that WWE and AEW are working together, when you don't realize that this was his WWE account that he had free reign over, and he decided to do all that. Now I'm pretty sure by now they have unfollowed that account. But anyway, gives you this prison breaking, like he's in a cell. He's in a cell, just sitting there, just wanting to get out. Just breaks out from the wall. Which, if you're in prison, don't even try to do that, because I'm pretty sure that you're going to end up hurting yourself. Gets away from this big dog, Roman Reigns, and you just see him walking. He's got blood all on his hand. He's got barbed wire wrapped around his hand. He's going past this snake pit. There's this snake. It's a club, I think in Vegas or something. Was a painting of a snake with dice that said 25, which of course Double or Nothing, 25th of May. But it said Jon Moxley. No one knew what the hell was going to happen. Of course, everyone figured he would go to AEW, and he does. So you have Double or Nothing. The debut of Jon Moxley was the big thing that happened on this show. You had Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, with Chris Jericho beating Kenny Omega to go for the world title against Adam Hangman Page, who at the beginning of the night during the opening Battle Royal, which the Battle Royals that they do now suck. I'm just going to be honest. These Casino Battle Royals, which it made sense when they did it in Double or Nothing, that it's called the Casino Battle Royal because you're in a casino in Las Vegas. It made no sense at Full Gear, and not Full Gear, but All Out, and both of them sucked. Just saying that right now. Both of them sucked. But the event earned positive reviews from critics including Kano.com, CBS Sports, ESPN, Pro Wrestling Torch, ProWrestling.net, and WrestleView. And the last 3 matches earned the most praise. Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer newsletter, wrote that after just one show, AEW is already the hottest non-WWE force in the U.S. pro wrestling business in more than 20 years. On September 19th, 2019, TNT's website listed AEW show as the All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. I can't stand saying that name, that's why I say AEW on TNT. A 1-hour preview show was also scheduled for October 1st at 8 p.m. AEW released a Road to series on videos on its official YouTube channel prior to pay-per-view events, which was AEW's Double or Nothing. Then they had Fyter Fest, which was in conjunction with CEO, a gaming convention or a gaming tournament, fighting gaming thing in Orlando, Florida. Because Kenny Omega is a gamer, he is friends with Alex Bailey, the person who runs CEO, and we had Fyter Fest. Was it one of the best pay-per-views of the year? No. Was it one of the best events of the year? No. Was it one of the worst? No. Nothing beats Crown Jewel or any of those things. But it was just a way to get the eyes on AEW. Then we went to Jacksonville 2 weeks later, I believe it was 2 weeks later, with Fight for the Fallen, which of course was them to support those victims of gun violence. Everything that happened on their show, all the tickets, nobody got paid for that show. Everything went to the victims of gun violence because I believe a year or so before that, during a Madden tournament in Jacksonville, Florida, some dumbass who got salty because he lost in the tournament, left the tournament, came back and shot up 2 people. Because the guy couldn't hack it as a Madden tournament. He probably thought, I'm just a badass, I'll kick every one of these asses, and he got his ass kicked. And he couldn't handle it. So it was a great thing for them to do that. In November of 2000, So we go from there, and we go from Fight for the Fallen, and there's nothing else for AEW really until we get to All Out, which was the next pay-per-view. We did get that announced. That was going to be the final pay-per-view before we got to TNT. So we get to All Out. We had the Casino Battle Royal for the women, so we could see who's going to go up against the winner of Shida and Riho for the chance to be the first ever AEW Women's Champion and the first episode of TNT. One of the things that the Young Bucks have promised about this was that we were going to have Tag Team Wrestling matter. And Tag Team Wrestling, yes, it's great to see it, but I think, one, they're overdoing it. Since they started in October 2nd, 2019, till December 18th, wasn't it? December 18th, 2019. That's about 12 weeks. They have had more tag team matches on TNT and their YouTube show than any other type of match they have. I know they want to make tag team wrestling matter, but you don't have to do... There have been at least 2 or 3 episodes of their show on TNT that has been nothing but tag team matches. I swear, it feels like that. Now, yes, we get to Double or Nothing. We have Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho. And people were wondering how they were going to do this. Were we going to have the young upstart, the young guy, Hangman Page, be the first ever champion of AEW? Or would we give it to Chris Jericho? And they gave it to Chris Jericho. Why? Because it made all the sense in the world. Now think, from January 8th till I'd say November 9th, AEW is in the honeymoon phase. They could do almost nothing wrong. They had no TV up until October, and they were just riding this high. The honeymoon phase has been over since November 9th when Full Gear happened. When Full Gear went off the air, that was it. The honeymoon phase was done. Now, people from the start have been picking this company apart. There have been people trying to get this company and tear them down and just say that this company is going to fail. They want this company to fail, so they're like, ha ha, Vince McMahon is the only one who can do wrestling right. Ha ha ha, people need... The AEW is going nowhere. At least I hope it's not. But then we get the TNT. And the very first show we had was sold out. It was in Washington, D.C. I believe it was where the Wizards play. I think it was the biggest arena they've done so far. And it's been good. They've had some good ones. They've had some low ones. The first show had Riho win the Women's Championship, which, in my opinion, the Riho versus Nyla Rose match, I think, was a massive mistake. In my opinion, the first match for the Women's Championship should have been Riho versus Shida. Nyla Rose had no business being in that match. She's not ready for a women's title match. And Riho winning the Women's Championship. I put it on Twitter that yesterday, that having Riho be the Women's Champion is like giving Marco Stunt the World Heavyweight Championship and holding it and giving it to him and trying to make him a believable champion. She's not believable. Now, AEW, yes, has had their ups and downs. Look at the first episode of TNT's End and the last episode of TNT's End that we've seen so far. The Elite have been beat down in both episodes. Episode 1, it was Jake Hager making his debut, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and the team of Proud and Powerful Santana and Ortiz beating down the Elite. We get to where we are now with the Dark Order, and the Dark Order beats down the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, the Rhodes, and the crowd just hated it. Now, just look at those two endings and see where AEW was in October and where they are in December. Night and day. That first one had heat. That first one had impact. That first one meant something. You had the one on the final episode of the year fell flat. The crowd didn't give a shit. The Dark Order, who have been in AEW since Double or Nothing at least, and honestly, nobody seems to care about the Dark Order. Yes, in the last few weeks, they put out these vignettes of join the Dark Order, trying to make the Dark Order seem like they're a big fucking deal, and it just isn't working. The highs for AEW is that you have Cody Rhodes is by far one of the best fucking promos out there. He was the best promo of the year. We'll talk about tomorrow for episode 100. We are going to have the year-end awards, the end of the year awards for my picks, and we have a lot of categories to go over, so make sure to check that out tomorrow on your YouTube channel, on this YouTube channel. Now, another positive of this thing is that Chris Jericho has showed you that he is like a fine wine. He only gets better with age. This dude wins the AEW World Championship. People criticize the AEW for giving this guy who's in his 40s, maybe 50s, the World Heavyweight Championship. Do you see what AEW is right now? What do you think AEW would be if they would have put it on Hangman Page? Better yet, if they would have went with Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho and Hangman Page would have won that title, I don't think AEW would be as hard as it is, or as big as it was. I think that would have sunk to the low. Now, things that AEW need to correct in 2020. Cody Rhodes losing his ability to be World Heavyweight Champion was a mistake. This guy is the best babyface you have. Pure babyface. Jon Moxley as a babyface is totally different how they do him. Totally different. He is built different. He is done differently. Totally different. But the guy who just comes out as a huge babyface, Cody Rhodes, is that guy. Now, some things also they need to fix. They need to end the Nightmare Collective. A couple weeks ago, about a month ago, about a month and a half ago, I should say, Brandy Rhodes puts on Twitter that she is no longer going to be at her husband's side. She doesn't want to be a distraction to him. We all thought, okay, that's fine. She can do whatever she wants. But what that actually meant was she's going to go absolutely fucking berserk, team up with Awesome Kong, beat up a bunch of women, cut their hair off, and act like it's a big fucking deal. When her promo game absolutely fucking sucks. She doesn't have good ring stage presence. She just isn't believable at anything she does. AEW wants to be more realistic. This is the most unrealistic thing they could have. Another thing with the women, outside of Riho being women's champion, which needs to end on the 8th since Chris Statlander is going to be out, is not going to be a part of AEW this coming Wednesday. Leva Bates. Leva Bates. I've been a fan of Leva Bates since she's been in NXT when she was Blue Pants. She was only there as comedy fodder. She was the one that helped Carmella have her first few matches and have Carmella beat her. She comes to AEW. She's been known as the cosplay wrestler. She's come out as Cody Rhodes. She's come out as The Undertaker, and so on and so forth. They have straddled her with this stupid librarian gimmick. I don't understand why you want to take somebody who is so talented as Leva Bates and make her just be a forgettable loser. The only win that Leva Bates has is because she teamed up with Nyla Rose, and Nyla Rose ate their opponents for dinner. Leva Bates deserves better than they're doing to her. Leva Bates, I like Peter Avalon of these librarians. I don't know him. I don't care. He just doesn't come off as anybody to care about. If they want to have the librarian Peter Avalon, that's fine. Leva Bates needs to be taken like this gimmick. She needs to go out there, and if she wants to be the cosplay queen in AEW, I am absolutely fine with that. Give this woman something more than being a jobber to others. She deserves better than this. Now, some things, as I said, have been good. The tag team wrestling has been good and bad. It's been there have been parts of tag team wrestling in AEW outside of the overkill, which I already talked about, that need to be have been addressed by Chris Jericho, but so bad that the World Heavyweight Champion had to call a team meeting and be like, listen, you're burying the referee. Going out there, having Pentagon Jr. stand in the corner inside the ring to take a tag, and the referee's like, yep, that's legal. No. Now, I will give them the due. Over the last few weeks, it has looked like it's been cleaned up a little bit, but not all the way. Now, if it's a triple threat fatal four-way, I expect it to go completely batshit crazy as they did on Dark, which Dark was, of course, as we got into the first episode of AEW, I think it was doing one of the pay-per-views that they did. Someone asked Tony Khan if they were going to, because every show that you do, any wrestling show you do, especially if you're going to do pay-per-view or something, you have dark matches before the show. Maybe even after the show, if it's like a TV thing that you do, you always have dark matches. Because you had it, you don't want to have the crowd come in and be like, hey guys, we're going to start in 5 minutes. So 5, 4, 3, in 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and have a crowd who hasn't been warmed up. Dark matches are meant to warm crowds up. And in the case of AEW, they decided they're going to take these dark matches, and everything's taped nowadays. WWE, of course, tapes everything, including house shows for safety reasons. If somebody gets injured, they'll have it on tape to see what actually happened. AEW tapes the TV shows. And AEW came out with, I think, a better name than their TV show. AEW Dark. Love it. Absolutely love it. Now, the first few episodes of AEW Dark, the first one had Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Jim Ross calling the action. I believe the second week had Excalibur and JR calling the action. Of course, Dark is hosted by Tony Schiavone in a studio in front of a green screen. They did actually add Dasha Gonzalez, who was Dasha Fuentes, in WWE. And my fucking God, you can see night and day. Dasha Gonzalez doesn't look anything like Dasha Fuentes. My God, what they did to that woman in WWE is just criminal. The fact that she comes into AEW, she does Spanish commentary on Wednesdays with, I don't remember who her commentary partner is, but she is the Spanish commentator. And I believe they do Dark as well, because there was a match that they put up a couple weeks ago. But anyway, they do that. There's a couple segments here and there they do sometimes. Cody's done a couple from the undesirable to undeniable, which was a take on a couple words he did in a promo on his road to face Chris Jericho at Full Gear. But it's great, and it's different because they are dark matches, so they're not all going to be serious. You have a lot more comedy in the matches on Dark. which is fine. And they air on Tuesdays outside of the one before Full Gear, which aired on Friday for some reason. Maybe because they didn't want to have the records be mixed up or something. Somebody doesn't know how to do the records right. Anyway. So, there's that. Another thing that AEW has promised is that they're going to have wins and losses matter. Now, how that is done is that when superstars come to the ring, you see a win-loss record. If it's a singles match, it will say singles and their overall. If it's a tag team match, if it's a trios match, it will say the stipulation and their overall record. And every single week, they're going to be doing a standings, top 5. Of course, the champion's not in there because the champion shouldn't be. But you have a top 5 for the men, women's, and the tag teams. And they still got to work some kinks out on it. They were releasing them on Fridays, which made no sense at all. Because you have dark, and the dark matches do count towards their record. So the standings are now going to be coming in on Wednesdays. But it's one of those things like you had here's where they messed up. I think there was Chris Statlander faced off against Sheeta. She beat Sheeta. So they announced. Well, we got to the Friday after the standings came out. The standings came out like the Friday after that match. 2 days after that match happened on that Friday. Sheeta, who was number 1 going into that match. We get to that ranking, and Sheeta's still number 1. Chris Statlander, I think, is number 5 or 4. She's she's like number 4, and Britt Baker's number 4. It's the 4. Britt Baker's 4, and Statlander's 5. We get to the next Wednesday, and AEW announces that Britt Baker will take on Chris Statlander in a number 1 contenders match for the women's championship. Now I'm sitting here wondering, and I think, and everyone else was, how the hell is number 4 and number 5 getting a number 1 contenders match? Then we get to Friday that week that they announced this match, and conveniently, Chris Statlander's 1 and Britt Baker's number 2. What? That made no sense. What you should have done was, after Chris Statlander beat Sheeta, Britt Baker should have been 1 and Chris Statlander should have been 2. But that was where I think they screwed up there. Whoever is doing the analytics and all this stuff, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but I'm pretty sure they don't know what the fuck they're doing yet. Like I said, the kinks are still getting worked out, but another negative of AEW for 2019 has been this. Their production has been so piss poor sometimes. And apparently it's on TNT's end because people over in the States or over in the UK don't have these things. But we're sitting there, we're watching AEW. First few weeks you couldn't hear the entrance music. Recently you can't hear the announcers half the time. We went through a match about 2 weeks ago, the opening match, which I think was the Young Bucks and Dustin Rhodes versus the Inner Circle. Could not hear Tony Schiavone whatsoever. Could not hear Excalibur whatsoever. Could not hear JR whatsoever. So who's ever in this department of the audio and technical stuff needs to get that shit straightened out. We were 12 weeks in. Week 13 overall for them is coming next week. And they need to get this shit right. Now, another thing that is definitely a major negative, and I know they have this stuff go on because they're over in the UK. But they need to they need to get rid of picture-in-picture when it's not doing a match. I don't give a flying fuck what happens when that bell rings and the match is over and you go to a commercial break. I don't need to see what happens. Like when Private Party beats the Young Bucks to move on to the tag team tournaments. They want the picture-in-picture. We see Private Party celebrating with the crowd. I don't want to see that. I don't need to see that. Yes, you're over in the UK. Who gives a shit? Another problem they've had with this picture-in-picture is that there was a couple of weeks ago where Chris Jericho with Jake Hager were walking down the line, coming to the ring, and Chris Jericho runs into the librarians and he starts talking trash to them. They go to picture-in-picture before he says anything. But it's so bad that Chris Jericho, who has a YouTube account, has been posting what has happened in his segments on his YouTube accounts. This shit needs to stop. And here's another problem with this. On last week, you had Kenny Omega and Hangman Page lose to the Lucha Bros, wasn't it? Yeah, lose to the Lucha Bros. They come to blows. Pac is in the back, goading Kenny Omega to come after him as he goes after Michael Nakazawa. We go to commercial break, picture in picture. Kenny Omega gets jumped by the Lucha Bros. We come back from commercial break, it's like it never fucking happened. It's never mentioned. It's never mentioned once by Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, or Jim Ross. There was a couple weeks before that where one thing that pissed me the fuck off, it was a week after TakeOver. And Nyla Rose just got done killing some poor soul. She's beating him down. We go to picture in picture. Referee's trying to get her off of him. Shauna comes in. They start brawling, I guess. And they go to picture in picture. She's beating down on Shauna as one picture in picture. So we have Britt Baker's in the crowd. And Nyla Rose takes Bryce Remsburg, I think it's Bryce Remsburg, picks him up and puts him to a table, and powerbomb Shauna on top of him. In picture, we pan over and see Britt Baker recreating what she did at TakeOver with her hands in front of her, just like, oh my god, which it's not even that shocking. I mean, come on. What happened to her boyfriend at TakeOver was more devastating than what happened to the referee and Shauna. And apparently, on the UK scene, Excalibur is like, that's Adam Cole's girlfriend. Something AEW, that's okay. 2019 is over. You've had enough of the fun. I don't need to see you guys talking about WWE anymore. If you want to do it on Being the Elite, fine. That's where you've been doing it. That was your bread and butter on Being the Elite. 2020 needs to be about AEW and AEW only. We don't watch AEW to see you do pot shots to WWE that are unnecessary. Having Cody Rhodes go out there and say the Reckoning, which is Damian Priest's finisher, is him botching the Crossroads. If you watch the Reckoning, it's like a Crossroads, but it's not a Crossroads. Cody goes over, he dips his arm like Cody Rhodes does a rolling toss. Fucking Damian Priest is a rolling cutter. It's totally different. But it's just AEW's got to. They need to focus on themselves more than because it just seems like now if the crowd. Now, it's one thing if the crowd starts chanting something that was done in WWE, like when they were chanting We the People with Jake Hager, and Chris Jericho's response to that was a stupid idea by a bad creative, was not planned. It was not something that was in the script or anything like that. It was something that just came off the top of his head because he is the GOAT. He is one of the greatest. He's the greatest threat we have right now. He's just like a fine wine, like I said. It's better with age. Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle, honestly. And then we're coming into what we have coming in with AEW 2020. But this was a crazy year. AEW went from a just blow up. They blew up immediately. As soon as that Being the Elite was done, and it said AEW, Twitter was broke. Twitter broke for a bit, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, I didn't see it until 7 hours later. The hype was there. The hype is real. They went to Double or Nothing. They had all this hype, all this pageantry, everything going their way. And then the way they ended the final show was just piss poor. The Dark Order is not working. You had people interested for a minute. You had people interested for a minute. But just the way the show ended left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Thankfully, Dark happened this week. And if you were somebody who felt like that you had a bad taste in your mouth with AEW, and the way they went off the air on Wednesday, at least you had Colt Cabana on commentary with Excalibur, a fun Fatal 4-Way tag team match, and a Joey Janela stunner to Shawn Spears. Just as a positive to me. Now, going into the new year, AEW still has a lot to work on. Yes, I know they're just now becoming it's a 1-year anniversary on Wednesday. 1 year since they started AEW. Well, actually, the 8th is, I guess, 1 year. But 1 year since they announced AEW. Which I don't think Cody and the Bucks and anybody at AEW planned to have AEW be able to 1 year to the day be able to celebrate their 1 year anniversary on the exact same day, because the 8th technically is because that was when everything became official. But one thing coming up, a 9-day series of events starting with 2 episodes of TNT is the Bash at the Beach. The week after the 1 year anniversary, they're going to have Bash at the Beach, and then they're going to have Chris Jericho's Cruise. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Dave Meltzer, on at least an episode of the Wrestling is Over newsletter, or Wrestling is Over radio, which was actually uploaded to the YouTube, I think it was uploaded to the YouTube, he mentioned that, and Impact Wrestling has been doing this for the last few years, Bash at the Beach needs to be the first of many. You have Revolution coming in February. Fine. What's going to happen in March? What's going to happen in April? What's going to happen in June? What's going to happen in July? What's going to happen in September? What's going to happen in October? Every single month that does not have one of your 4 pay-per-views. Impact does it with all their former pay-per-views. They have they have Hard Justice. They have Lockdown. They have Turning Point. All these former pay-per-views are now Impact special episodes. Bash at the Beach, which is actually going to be 2, is the start of this. So what needs to happen in 2020 for AEW to make themselves different, which people are like, oh, they're copying Impact Wrestling. Who cares? This would be perfect for them. After Revolution goes off the air, or at Revolution, they need to announce, or before Revolution, because I believe they have announced March 25th. I believe was the last one that they did. So the March 25th episode of TNT needs to be given a name, for a special name. Build towards that as a special episode. NXT does it. They do mini takeovers. They did a mini takeover on the first night of this Wednesday Night War. The first night of the Wednesday Night War, NXT did a mini takeover. AEW needs to do mini pay-per-views on TNT. Give us a show to look forward to. Give us the I would have Chris Statlander versus Riho happen at Bash at the Beach. Build towards Bash at the Beach. Then you go from Bash at the Beach to Revolution. You're building as you go, making these episodes at TNT mean something. AEW hasn't been a smooth road. It was never going to be a smooth road, but they have so much they need to do to get this to where it needs to be. Yes, the honeymoon period is over, but I would love to see March have if they have the rights to Halloween Havoc, which I don't think they do, but if they did, say they did. Say we get to October, which is the week, which full year is going to happen in November, but October, we have AEW on TNT presents Halloween Havoc. Or July, AEW presents The Great American Bash. Or December. If they could get the Starrcade name from WWE, which I would love them to do because WWE is making a mockery of that name. AEW presents on December, on the final episode of the year, AEW presents Starrcade. That would be awesome. Something like that. Something to build to, because you just can't do this and expect people to hold on and build towards the next pay-per-view. Revolution is going to happen on February, I think it's February 29th. They need
to have something in the middle. Yes, I know Bash at the Beach is going to happen on the 15th. That's fine. 15th and the 22nd. If you wanted to make those be pay-per-view-esque shows, that is fine. Use the pay-per, like after you go to Revolution, after Revolution, which is going to be in February, which I believe is on the 29th, then say the 18th of March. You build from the 4th of March to the 4th and the 11th of March, and maybe 18th too. You build towards the 25th. Give that a special name as if it's a pay-per-view, and build it up as a pay-per-view. Give us like the World Championship on the line on March 25th. Give us the tag team titles. Give us the Women's Championship on the line. Those are the only time in the month that those titles will be on the line when there's not a pay-per-view. It would work so well for AEW to do this. Give us more talent. They are doing that. They are giving more talent. I can't go away from that. Cut back on tag. I'm going to say cut back on the tag team wrestling. You've done so much in 2019. Yes, tag team wrestling matters, but you don't have to have a show with 4 or 5 matches being tag team matches. Learn to break it up. If you have a segment that happens during the commercial break, here's an idea. Replay that. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to AEW on TNT. Here's what happened during the commercial break, and show us the full segment because we can't hear in picture. It was so bad that Chris Jericho had Sammy Guevara come out with a bunch of note cards, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and just read off, or not 2 weeks ago, but last week, and just started reading off of it and taking the piss out of TNT for having these pictures when we don't need them. Another thing they need to do, we got to stop 50-50 people. They're not doing the WWE version of 50-50 where you have like Hangman versus Pac and have Hangman win, Pac win, Hangman win, Pac win, Hangman win, Pac win. No. You have it, Hangman win a match, lose his next match against somebody else. Hangman win a match, lose his next match. You go down those records of this first year, and not everybody, but a lot of people have about 500 records, like about a 500 record. They've either one win over 500 or one win under 500. It's just at 500. It's like you just can't do that. You need to have guys who are just losers. You need to have people who are winners. You can't have it's like when you get to, because they're going to have a full year now with these records. It's not just going to be May with a couple of matches in between, and then October is where they started. You're going to have 52 weeks this year because Christmas is on Friday next year. Christmas is not going to be on Wednesday. Christmas Eve is not going to be on Wednesday. Christmas is going to be on Friday because of the leap year. So they're going to have 52 straight weeks of wrestling. After those 52 weeks, I better not be seeing like Hangman Page 25 and 27. What the hell is that? Or 26 and 26. No. That is going to make this entire thing useless. Establish those who, like, the Young Bucks spent most of this year getting guys over like Private Party, like the Pride and Powerful, like SCU and everything else. The Young Bucks need to establish themselves as a tag team and everyone knows them as. They spent the first year getting others over. It's time to take back their crown, win the tag team titles, and go on to do whatever else. Establish what you're going to do, what's the inner circle, you had up until Cody Rhodes lost to Chris Jericho, it was Elite versus Inner Circle. That has kind of just died now, other than a little bit with Pride and Powerful and the Young Bucks. But before Cody lost that match, it was Inner Circle and the Elite. Cody even teased the match beyond, which of course is a tease at War Games, even though WWE owns that license, which anybody who knows anything, there's 2 other promotions that have their own War Games-like match. MLW has the War Chamber, and TNA, Impact Wrestling, has Lethal Lockdown. You can do a War Game styles match, you just can't use that name. They can come up with a name. I don't care if it's called the Chamber of Wars.
I don't care if it's just called the chamber match. Just call it a chamber. Just call it the, I don't know, the chamber. Just call it the military chamber. I don't care. But you had it all seemed like they were pointing towards that. That was what we would see going into probably Revolution. But no. MJF versus Cody is going to kill it. MJF is definitely going to be world champion. If MJF is not world champion by the end of 2020 or 2021, the company's doing something wrong. Hangman Page is turning heel. I don't know when it's going to be. It's going to be on Kenny Omega because honestly, they don't have anyone else who could be turning heel on. Cody makes more sense, but Cody's already tangled up with MJF, and the Young Bucks also make sense too. But the Young Bucks are kind of dealing with Pride and Powerful and trying to win the tag team titles. So Kenny Omega is the best they can do, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, it feels like if MJF didn't turn on Cody, it feels like that's what Hangman Page would have done, but they went with that. And the Joey Janela and Shawn Spears feud is going absolutely nowhere. Figure out what you're going to do with Shawn Spears because I feel like they're wasting his talent. If Riho retains her title on Wednesday, make sure Chris Statlander wins that championship. Riho has held the title long enough. She is not doing anything with it. She is in Japan majority of the time as champion anyway. I'm not saying that you need to be on every single episode. I think that's ludicrous. WWE does that with most of their champions, even though The Fiend is a beautiful, beautiful thing as a champion because you know he's there. When Bray Wyatt does the Firefly Funhouse, you see the championship, but you don't see The Fiend, and The Fiend doesn't wrestle every single week. And please, oh please, oh please, get rid of the Nightmare Collective. The Nightmare Collective is just a waste of time. Get Brandy Rhodes behind this curtain and just leave her there. If she's not going to be her husband's valet, keep her out of the company. Keep her out of the I just can't do it anymore. I cannot deal with Brandy Rhodes as the Nightmare Collective. It makes no sense. It's nothing. It doesn't make any sense, and it's not going to make any sense. Jon Moxley is going to win the world. It should be your world champion coming out of Revolution. That guy has not been pinned or submitted in AEW, and that's the way it should be. Jon Moxley should not lose by a fluke. Jon Moxley should not be pinned for any reason. He should be going into Revolution. Now, Chris Jericho has offered him to join the Inner Circle. I fully expect him to join the Inner Circle. But how is he going to join the Inner Circle? Here's what's going to happen. If he doesn't, then of course I wouldn't be surprised. But here's why he joins the Inner Circle. Jon Moxley wants Chris Jericho one-on-one. How do you get Chris Jericho one-on-one? You infiltrate the Inner Circle. You have about 2 months. You have 2 months. You have 60 days. You have 60 days between January 1st and February 29th. You have 60 days. If they can't figure out how to have Jon Moxley infiltrate the Inner Circle and destroy it from the inside out in that 60 days, then they're doing something wrong. Chris Jericho, I mean, yes, it would be nice if they had like 90 or 100 and some days in between, but yeah. I can see Jon Moxley joining. I can also see them doing the fake out join where he puts the shirt on, they raise his hands, and then he just Death Riders everybody. But they have all of January to go through, so I don't know. I could see him joining, and then midway through February, just destroying the Inner Circle from the inside out. I mean, I don't know if you want to destroy the Inner Circle yet, but not destroy him, but like take out Jake Hager, take out Pride and Powerful, take out Sammy Guevara. So when we get to Revolution, it's Jericho versus Moxley, 1-on-1, and Moxley is your winner and new World Heavyweight Champion. Now, was this a good year for AEW? Yes. Was it the best they could have done? I think the best is yet to come. But they need to establish who's going to be in the top of the tier and who's going to be in the bottom of the tier. And I mean that in the women's division. The women's division is the weakest point for sure when it comes to all the divisions. Riho being the champion
is absolutely a travesty. The only reason she's there is they really had no other option at the time. They had no one else, and it's not their fault. There's so much AEW could do. The Dark Order, I don't know what you do to repair them. I don't know if you could save the Dark Order. Yes, there was intrigue. What could they do? But the Beaver Boys were the best you could do to join the Dark Order. Now, they teased on the last episode of Being the Elite who the next man, who the other guy's going to be. I've seen people mention this name, and if you think about it, it makes all the sense in the world. When you watch the Dark Order come in, and they beat down the Young Bucks, they beat down everybody, there was all of the minions, all of them wearing green masks, black masks with green except for one, and the two Beaver Boys, but you had one wearing a mask that had purple on it. Now, when the Beaver Boys put their Dark Order masks on, they were black with purple. So, my question is, and this makes sense that this person would do this, is Brandon Cutler going to be revealed as the third guy with the purple mask on? Why would Brandon Cutler betray the Elite? Think about it. They gave him a job as a wrestler in AEW. And all he has done since then is lose. All he has done is lose. So why would he not turn his back on? And he's also taken an ass kicking left and right from Pride and Powerful for the Elite, for the Young Bucks. And we have to talk about it too in a second, but Brandon Cutler makes sense. Now, on the last episode of Being the Elite, the very last thing you saw before they did hey, did you like that video animation at the end? Was somebody washing their hands who had blood on it. You didn't see who it was. They took the mask off, they threw it in the trash, and that's all you see. I think it's going to be Brandon Cutler because it makes all the sense in the world. He didn't come out to help the Young Bucks Young Bucks in the Elite this time around. Last time they had a beatdown, he came out and he got his ass kicked. So I think that he is the third member, the third initiate in the Dark Order. And it would not surprise me if next week or the week after that we find that out for sure. AEW has made a difference somewhat. AEW has changed the landscape of professional wrestling. I mean, just look at WWE. Last year, they were signing people to 3-year contracts. That was the minimum, I think it was, 3 years. You know how bad it is that when you come to NXT, you would used to get a 2-year contract. A 2-year contract, unless you were a bigger name like an Aleister Black, a Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, I think they got 3 years. No names who are coming to AEW, to NXT, are getting 5-year deals. 5-year deals, so locking them up for 5 years. Guys like a Mojo Rawley, a No Way Jose are going to be offered 5-year contracts. WWE, after Jon Moxley left, and they let Dustin Rhodes leave, and they let Shawn Spears leave, we're like, nope, that's it. We're not letting anybody else out. The Revival, the Sin Cara, Mike Bennett, Mike Kanellis, Luke Harper wanted out of their contracts. We didn't have anybody released from WWE until the end of last month or the beginning of this month. Like, I think it was a week or two before Christmas. They fired Luke Harper, The Ascension, and Sin Cara. Wow. It took 10 months, it felt like. At least 9 to 10 months for them to actually release somebody. And the only reason to release Luke Harper, Sin Cara, and The Ascension is because they have done so much damage to release Luke to all these guys that, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything here. They're going to be worthless. Well, Sin Cara is going to Mexico, and he's going to be somebody else. Luke Harper is going to be back as Brody Lee. I don't know what the other two are going to do. But WWE is not releasing, like, usually after SummerSlam or right before, like, after SummerSlam, we would have that summer cleaning where, like, 6 or 7 people who aren't being used, have nothing for in creative, would be released from WWE. WWE has now adopted the policy that they're not going to do that anymore. And then they reverse course and they, of course, release a couple people. So, AEW has had an effect on WWE. AEW has had an effect on the indies. AEW has had an effect everywhere in professional wrestling. As 2019 comes to a close in a couple days, this has been the craziest year in professional wrestling that I can remember, because when 2001 happened, I was 11 years old. I just turned 11 at the beginning of that month because my birthday is in March. I just turned 11. I didn't know anything. I didn't know as much as I do now. I was just, I was in that stage of everything felt more real, even though by the time I'm pretty sure I knew it was all bullshit. But, I didn't know, I'm going to be true to you, I didn't know what the WWF was until Owen Hart passed away. Because I walked into school the next day and people were talking about Owen Hart, and I didn't know who the fuck Owen Hart was. I didn't know what the WWF was. I only knew what WCW. I only knew Goldberg, Hogan, Nash, Hall, the NWO, all that stuff, because that's just what I grew up with. That's what my dad was watching with WCW. I knew nothing of the World Wrestling Federation. So, when that final Nitro happened and Vince McMahon walked on there, I'm like, who the fuck is that? What the hell? What's going on here? And WCW was gone. And because I was where I was living at the time, I lost the ability to watch wrestling for a good while. And I didn't get to watch the WWE until the tail end of 2003. The first thing I saw was the Monday Night Raw, where Shawn Michaels took on Triple H in that match for the World Heavyweight Championship that saw Eric Bischoff count both men's shoulders down. That was my first Monday Night Raw. Didn't get UPN, so I didn't get to really watch SmackDown. But just looking back at everything on this year, this is the biggest, at least this decade. The decade of wrestling has gone out with a bang. WWE's creative has been going to shit. Last year we thought was the worst creative year. This year has even been worse. I can't wait to see what 2020 does, to see how much we can shit on it then. AEW can make a difference in many, many ways. They just need to go out there, give us the best professional wrestling, end the bullshit trying to make fun of WWE. It's not necessary. Get rid of the librarians. Get rid of the Dark Order, because the Dark Order is not doing... Repackage the Dark Order. Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, I'm sure are great at what they do, but they're just not working as the Dark Order. Kill the Nightmare Collector, because it's not working whatsoever. Nobody cares. Establish who are going to be the stars of this outside of Cody Rhodes, Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho. We don't SU's the tag team champions, but I don't know who the fuck's going to be the big names of the tag team division, because everybody's winning or losing. There's no one's been consistent in AEW. Do what you can to fix the women's division, plain and simple. Yes, you've hired Eric Big Swole, you've hired Chris Statlander, you've hired all these other women, but what is that all going to mean if nobody knows what the fuck is going on? Like, the women's division is definitely something they need to work on. And as I said before, AEW in 2020, Bash at the Beach is in January, Revolution's in May, in February. April and March need to have dedicated mini pay-per-view type shows. Cody Rhodes has trademarked a lot of old WCW names. Put them to use. Put them to use. Go out there and give us a bunkhouse brawl on one episode. I don't care. Give us something every single month so you're looking forward to it. Hey, Revolution's happening in February. Let's go. What's happening in March? Oh, okay. So this is happening in March. Can't wait to see that episode. Let's see how you build to that. Because trying to build from... If they would have had the final episode of the year be a pay-per-view-esque show, giving it a pay-per-view type name, it would have been a nice bridge that go to Bash at the Beach, and then Bash at the Beach to Revolution. That's what we need to see. And hopefully 2020 will be a bigger and better year, and hopefully the France and Unscripted will be here for you every single week. Hit that, if you have watched and listened to all this, thank you very much. Please hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club, find me on twitch.tv/The France Club, and go check out The France Players. I am trying to work on making that a viable thing too. I know I'm stalled a little bit right now, but I hope to do much more in 2020. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 100, the final episode of this year for Unscripted, as we give out many, many awards, good and bad, of professional wrestling, AEW, WWE, and some out with Japan, and maybe a couple Impact as well. Until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.